All right, our top focus right now on Newsnight. The Denmark Defense Ministry warned that the troops will immediately respond to any invasion of Greenland with force, as the US continues to weigh up military intervention to annex the territory. The defense minister also added that the soldiers will be required to counter any foreign invasion without awaiting orders under the military's rules of engagement. Now, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced meeting with Denmark next week to discuss Greenland. Meanwhile, after the US military intervention in Venezuela, Donald Trump has repeatedly said that he wants to annex Greenland. Remember, a few days ago, Trump said that US needs Greenland, given its strategic location in the Arctic. Now, Greenland, which is a part of NATO through Denmark's membership, is strategically significant for the US military and for its ballistic missile early warning system that, since the shortest route from Europe to North America, runs through the island. So this is, we're telling you why Trump is eyeing Greenland at this point of time. Well, on January 4th, Trump doubled down on his claim that Greenland, an island of just 57,000 people, should become a part of the United States of America, despite calls by the Denmark's Prime Minister to stop threatening the territory. All right, we are now being joined by Jesper Stenmetz, the European correspondent, and he's joining us live from Denmark right now. Thanks very much for joining us on NDTV, Jesper. First up, how have the local Greenlandic communities and leaders responded to this constant warning by the US President Donald Trump of acquiring Greenland?
Yeah, they're very worried, and they are also extremely furious to hear the American president talk about their country in a way as if it was something that could just be bought. This country is not for sale, the Greenlanders keep telling me and the world, and they hope that at some point the US president will understand that they are not for sale. They are their own country, they are their own people, and one day they will have a referendum and vote whether they want to become a sovereign nation, an independent nation, independent of Denmark. And if they want that, it's up to the Greenlanders, not up to anyone else.
Right. In your reporting, joining us live from Denmark, what signs of heightened tensions or preparations have you observed in response to the White House's statements about even mulling military options to acquire Denmark?
Well, I just spoke to a Greenlandic man who said that people are actually at home discussing if we are being invaded or if there's a military action against us, how is it actually going to take place? And that makes them really worried. But you have to remember that there are very few Greenlandic soldiers per se, and they serve under the Danish Defense Force. And there are also no Danish soldiers per se in Greenland. The only stationed troops that there are here in Greenland are actually American troops. They are way north of where I'm talking to you now. And the irony is that if Trump and if the Americans wanted to deploy more troops, they could do it tomorrow without any problem, because that is already within the agreement that Denmark, the US, made back in 1951, and that the Greenland has also agreed to. So there would be no problem of stepping up military presence from a US side, from a US point of view, if they wanted to.
And of course, how is the ongoing crisis affecting Greenland's ties with Denmark? We do know that the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that he will be convening a meeting with Denmark officials regarding the acquisition of Denmark. And at this point of time, do you see any shifts in public opinion towards greater independence?
Definitely. I think a year ago, before these threats from the US started, a lot of Greenlanders actually thought that Denmark hadn't been treated them in a correct way for years, and thought that there was this kind of underlying racism from Denmark towards Greenland. I think actually that is still the case if you ask some Greenlanders, but I do think that this outside threat from the US has made Greenland and Denmark come closer together and have made more Greenlanders realize that they need to stand together with Denmark and the Danes because together we are actually stronger fighting this outside pressure coming from the US.
All right, Jesper, at this point of time where things stand, Denmark is ready for the US meeting. US is keen on acquiring Denmark. Keeping all this in mind, all the factors at play, how do you see the situation panning out? Keeping in mind that the US President Donald Trump is not going to back out anytime soon.
Well, covering Trump, because I used to be the US correspondent, covering Trump for years has taught me that you should not predict anything when it comes to his next actions, because it's extremely difficult to say what is going on and what will take place in the coming months from now. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing to suggest that he's going to back down. There's nothing to suggest that he will change his mind. But I think the meeting next week, seen from a Danish perspective at least, the objective is to find out by talking to Secretary of State Rubio, what is it you want? Because it's not exactly clear, neither here in Greenland nor in Denmark, what is it the US president wants that he is not able to get already? Because as I said, he's able to actually step up military presence, the American military presence. Tomorrow, if he wanted to, he could do that without changing any agreements. So what exactly is it he wants to obtain?
Right, Jesper, we'll wait and have to see how all of this pans out for your country. Well, Greenland is one of the biggest places in the world, and yet it hardly attracts any kind of attention till a sitting US president set his eyes on it. Strategic to geopolitics. A storehouse of natural resources, Greenland has powerful men from Trump to Putin to Xi Jinping wanting a piece of it. Let us help you get a better understanding of what greenery hides underneath this land of ice and glaciers.
Greenland is a long island surrounded by a fringe of smaller islands. It lies between the Atlantic and the Arctic Oceans of the northeast coast of America. 100 years ago, 86% of its 2 million square kilometer area used to be under an ice cap. A century later, the ice cap covers 80% and continues to decrease. Slowly revealing what lies underneath, because therein also lies the true value of this cold, nearly barren but massive island stuck between the old world and the new. Geographically, Greenland is part of the North American continent, but politically and culturally, it is European. In 1721, a Danish-Norwegian started a settlement near what is now Greenland's capital, Nuuk. In 1776, Denmark established sovereignty over Greenland, and it remained a Danish colony till 1953, when it became a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. In 1979, Greenland gained home rule. In 1983, it left the then European Community. The Greenland Self-Government Act, ratified by the Danish Parliament in 2009, set out a process for Greenland to gain independence, requiring consent from Greenland's parliament and its people in a referendum, with independence terms to be negotiated with Denmark. No framework exists on the buying and selling of Greenland.
The acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like.
Greenland is an area of great strategic value due to its size and position, situated as it is between North America, Europe, and Russia. Since the Second World War, Greenland has been integrated into US early warning systems. The US Thule Air Base, renamed Pituffik Space Base, halfway between New York and Moscow, is part of their missile defense shield. After the war in 1946, the United States made a takeover offer of $100 million gold dollars. This was rejected by Denmark.
I believe in democracy and I believe in the international rules. Of course, I also believe that you do not change borders by force either one way or another. It is not only the position of Denmark and the Danish kingdom, fortunately, of Europe too. So I hope that the people will also take note of the once again significant European support that we are receiving.
Greenland is practically uninhabitable. Humans live along the coast, mostly to the west and south of the island. The entire population of this massive island is around 57,000, nearly all of them of Inuit ethnicity. Greenland has no industry, there is no road network, and most supplies arrive by air and sea. 90% of its exports come from fishing. Denmark subsidizes around 60% of Greenland's budget, which accounts for 25 to 30% of its GDP. Greenland is eyed by Russia and China for its potential. In 2016, it came to light that the main shareholder of an Australian mining company in Greenland was Chinese. By 2020, close to 20% of Greenland's exports were to China. Melting land and sea ice is making Greenland's rich mineral and hydrocarbon deposits more accessible. Greenland has large deposits of rare earth elements. Estimates put them at 10% of the entire world's total. Copper and cryolite have been mined in Greenland since the mid-19th century. In the 20th century, zinc, lead, and silver were also mined. Coal mining began in 1906. Uranium was discovered in 1956. The 1970s saw the start of offshore oil and gas exploration. Significant offshore oil and gas reserves are estimated to lie to the northeast and northwest of Greenland. No wonder then that outsiders want an insight into Greenland. It has also been an attraction for flamboyant, convicted felons. In fact, that is how it got its name. Around 1,000 years ago, Eric the Red, an Icelandic murderer who was exiled to the island, called it Greenland. He hoped that the name would attract settlers. A millennium later, Greenland, as white as it has been for 2.5 million years, continues to attract not settlers, but profiteers of the world.